There's a moment most people never see coming. It doesn't arrive with a warning. It doesn't knock politely and wait for you to prepare. It just shows up one ordinary morning, disguised as routine, disguised as safety. And then something small goes wrong, and suddenly you realize the things you thought were keeping you safe at home weren't the things that mattered at all. And by the time you understand that, you've already paid the price for not knowing. I'm 83 years old. My name is Margaret. And 8 years ago, when I started living alone after Richard died, I truly believed I was prepared. I had the house. I had the savings. I had my independence. I thought those were the pillars, the things that meant I'd be okay. I was catastrophically wrong, because living alone after 60 isn't about what you have. It's about what's in place when something goes wrong. And there are 10 things, 10, that you absolutely cannot live alone without. Not conveniences, not luxuries, not things that would be nice to have someday. I mean necessities, the kind that decide whether you stay in your home or lose everything in a single bad day. And I didn't learn them from a book. I learned them the hard way, through falls, through mistakes, through long, silent hours that could have ended very differently. So I'm going to tell you what they are. Because if you don't have these 10 things in place right now, you're one bad day away from losing everything. Richard died on a Tuesday morning, heart attack, quick, no suffering, the kind of ending people say they want. He was sitting across from me at breakfast, and by lunchtime, he was gone, just like that. And for the first month, I wasn't really living. I was moving. There were arrangements to make, papers to sign, people coming in and out of the house with casseroles I couldn't taste, and condolences I couldn't process. It was noise, constant noise. And then it stopped. The calls slowed down. The visits got shorter. The food stopped coming. And one day I woke up and realized it was just me, 75 years old, and I had never lived alone, not once. I went from my parents' house to Richard's house. There was always someone there, always, until there wasn't. At first I told myself I was fine. I could cook, I could clean, I could manage bills and appointments. I wasn't helpless. But here's what nobody tells you. Living alone isn't about what you can do on a good day. It's about what happens on a bad one. I learned that 3 months after Richard died. That's when I discovered the first thing you absolutely need, a silent alarm system. Not the kind you install on your walls. Not something that beeps and flashes and charges you monthly. I mean a system that tells someone you're still alive, without you having to ask for help. Because I didn't have that. Nobody was expecting to hear from me. Nobody was checking in. Nobody would notice if something went wrong. And that became terrifyingly clear one Wednesday morning in November. I slipped getting out of the shower. Just a simple slip, wet tile, wrong angle. I went down hard, hit my head against the sink. Not enough to knock me out, but enough to make the world spin. I tried to stand. My legs didn't work. My phone was in the bedroom, 20 feet away. Might as well have been 20 miles. And there I was, on the cold bathroom floor, wet, disoriented, alone. I kept thinking, someone will notice. Someone will realize I haven't been seen. Someone will come. Nobody did. I lay there for 6 hours. 6 hours on tile that got colder by the minute. 6 hours of trying to move and failing. 6 hours of my thoughts getting darker and quieter. At some point, I stopped trying to get up. I just waited. And I remember thinking, this is how it ends. Not dramatically, not suddenly, just slowly, quietly, alone. My neighbor Sarah noticed my newspaper still on the porch at 3 o'clock that afternoon. That's what saved me. A newspaper. She knocked. No answer. Used the spare key her husband had from years ago. Found me barely conscious. The paramedic told me later. Another couple of hours, and this might have gone very differently. And lying in that hospital bed, I understood something that changed everything. This is how independent people lose their independence. Not because they can't live alone, but because they live alone without backup. So I built one. Now, every morning by 9 a.m., I move a flower pot from one side of my porch to the other. That's it. 5 seconds. Sarah sees it from her kitchen window. If it hasn't moved by 10 o'clock, she comes knocking. If I don't answer, she comes in. No calls. No awkward check-ins. No feeling like I'm being watched. Just a quiet system that says, she's okay. And if one day I'm not, someone will know. That's the first thing. The second thing is harder to admit. You need an external brain, because when you live alone, your memory becomes the only memory. There's no one saying, you already took that. No one reminding you, we talked about this yesterday. It's just you, and when you forget something, it stays forgotten. At first it was small things. Did I take my medication? I think I did, but I couldn't be sure. So sometimes I took it again. Sometimes I didn't take it at all. Then it got bigger. Bills paid twice. Bills not paid at all. Late notices, confusion, frustration. I'd stand in the kitchen at night and genuinely not know if I'd eaten lunch. Entire days blurred together. I thought something was wrong with me. Something serious. But it wasn't dementia. It was overload. Too many things, and no system to hold them. So I created one. A notebook. Simple. Plain. Nothing fancy. Every morning I write the date. Then I track everything. Medication taken. Meals eaten. Bills handled. Things I need to remember. And it changed everything. Now, when I'm unsure, I don't guess, I check. It doesn't mean I'm failing. It means I'm adapting. That's the second thing. The third thing surprised me the most. You need a financial space for joy, not survival, not emergencies, joy. Because after Richard died, every dollar I spent had a purpose. Bills, groceries, insurance, savings. Everything was about staying afloat. And slowly, without realizing it, I stopped living. I was just maintaining, waiting for the next bill, the next problem, the next thing to go wrong. My sister Jean came to visit one afternoon and asked me something simple. When's the last time you bought something just because you wanted it? I couldn't answer. I genuinely couldn't remember. And she said something that stayed with me. You're treating yourself like you're already gone. So I created a small budget, $50 a month, just for joy. The first time I spent it, I felt guilty. Bought good. Coffee. Sat on the porch with it. And I cried, because I had forgotten that I was allowed to enjoy being alive. That's the third thing. The fourth thing is uncomfortable, but necessary. A crisis folder. Because if something happens to you, and you can't speak, who speaks for you? After my second fall, paramedics asked me questions I couldn't answer. Medications, allergies, contacts. I didn't know. I couldn't think clearly enough. So I made a folder, bright yellow, inside my pantry. Easy to find. It has everything. Medical information, emergency contacts, instructions, and a note that says who to call first. It felt morbid. But the next time I needed help, it mattered. That's the fourth thing. The fifth thing took me the longest to accept. A panic button you can actually use. Not a phone across the room. Not something you have to think about. Something you wear. Something that works even when you can't. I resisted it. It felt like giving up, but it isn't. It's protection. And sometimes protection is what keeps independence alive. The sixth thing is practical. Your home has to match your body. Not who you were, but who you are now. That means changing things, rearranging, making it easier, safer. Because pride doesn't prevent injury. Design does. The seventh thing is honesty with your body. When something feels off, you don't ignore it. You don't minimize it. You pay attention because no one else is watching. The eighth thing is small but powerful. A daily ritual. Something that anchors you. For me, it's coffee on the porch every morning at 7 o'clock. Same chair, same mug, 10 minutes. It tells me I'm here. The day has started. The ninth thing is meaning. Something that connects you to life beyond survival. For me, it's writing. For someone else, it might be gardening, painting, reading. But you need something that reminds you you're still part of something. And the 10th thing is the hardest. Asking for help before you need it. Not when things fall apart. Before. Because waiting costs more than asking ever will. I'm still here. Still in this house. Still independent at 83. Not because I'm stronger. Not because I'm lucky. But because I built systems that catch me when I fall, that protect me when I'm vulnerable, that allow me to stay without risking everything. And every morning, when I wake up in my own bed, move that flower pot, pour my coffee, I feel something simple, gratitude, because I'm still here, still myself, still home. And if you're listening to this, you still have time to build that too, before the day comes when you realize you should have.